Hey, my name is Jacqueline. I started Show Me Some Sugar after doing a really successful Go campaign for myself called Crushing the Odds. Now, Show Me Some Sugar is starting to form into its own social network for diabetics of any kind. Um, as kind of not only a social network, but a place for diabetics to do peer support for each other. Because the reality is, when you're suffering from a disease, usually the best information you can get and the best support you can get is from someone else who is also affected. Now, when it comes to type 1 diabetes, this is not as a result of lifestyle. This is a bad draw of genetics in cases like Kathy Carpenter's, who is a 36-year-old single mom, sole provider of 3 beautiful children. I mean, her kids are they're fun, they're spunky, they're smart like her, they're pretty as hell. And to Kathy, they're everything. There's nothing she wouldn't give for them, which is kind of the problem. Currently, Kathy does have insurance, but she can't afford the co-pays to get things like blood test strips, lancets, alcohol swabs, insulin, syringes, to get the typical type 1 lab work she needs to be getting every year to make sure her heart isn't affected, to make sure she still has her full sight, to make sure she still has complete and healthy nerve function. And what was really sad when I was doing this Go Fund for myself is that at one point I said, Kathy, we need to get you some help, because she was talking and some of the things that she was saying, I mean, she's suffering from decline. She's suffering from deterioration at this point. And she's got to be checking her blood sugars at least 6 times a day. She's type 1. It's an immune disorder. The only thing she did was get the wrong hand in genetics. And Kathy actually told me, Jacqueline, people don't love me like they love you. I mean, which is insane. This woman gives of herself so often and so regularly that the idea that it's not a choice. She has to be able to afford medication because those 3 beautiful babies, they depend on her. She's mom. She's everything. She's the sole breadwinner. She's the constant in their life. She's the one who tucks them in at night, who kisses boo-boos, who enforces homework rules. Kathy is their everything. And for Kathy, they are her everything too. Which is why, if it's a choice between taking the medications that she needs to stay alive or feeding her children, it is not a choice. Her children will be fed. Unfortunately, when it comes to all forms of diabetes, they cut your average life expectancy by 15 to 20 years. When you have type 1, which is an immune disorder that attacks the body itself, specifically the endocrine system, takes a little more than that. And if you can't test, if you can't see your doctor regularly, if you can't take your insulin when you need to, it's going to be a lot more than 15 to 20 years. And her children deserve to have their mom as long as they possibly can. And Kathy, like many Americans who have insurance but still cannot afford health care, she shouldn't have to be asking herself, do I feed my kids today or do I live? It's not an option and it's not a choice. But she asks herself that on a daily basis. On a daily basis. She doesn't check her blood sugar the way she needs to, not because she doesn't want to, but just because she can't afford it. So, Show Me Some Sugar has begun. A social networking group for diabetics by diabetics for the awareness, education, and medical research needed for all forms of diabetes. But specifically, Show Me Some Sugar is creating GoFunds for diabetics suffering from financial hardship, where their lives will be shortened not because they're not doing what's right, but because they can't afford to. And our first person identified as having financial hardship is Kathy Carpenter. She's working a minimum wage job in Miami, putting everyone ahead of herself, trying to make sure her kids have a roof over their head, clothes on their back, and a hot meal of food 3 times a day, every day. The basics any parent would want. But when she's doing this, Kathy deserves to have as many healthy days with her children as possible. And they deserve to have their mom live the longest, healthiest, happiest life possible. So please, share this video. Be a little more generous than maybe you should. And help Kathy. Because those 3 babies, they only have one mom. They only have one champion. And they deserve to have her as long as possible, too. Thanks.